The book is Matthew chapter 5, verse 13. Here Jesus posits, you and I are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its flavor, how shall it be seasoned? It is then good for nothing but to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men. Jesus used this metaphor or this phrase, which applies to an object, an action, which is not literally applicable. How can we be salt? But Jesus here is trying to bring about a lesson. Let's examine the physical properties of salt. It's white, it's odorless, it has no smell, it has a strong salty taste. Its solubility or its ability to dissolve in water is different at different temperatures. Now let's apply that to our Christian experience as believers. Christ wants us to be robed in His righteousness. But how can we? By allowing Him to take control of our lives, our minds, so that we'll have the very nature of Christ. When we are the embodiment of that nature, that white robe of Christ's righteousness, then we'll exude a type of saltiness. Well, one of the things that salt does, it preserves. It keeps things in their almost perfect state. Food, that is. And its solubility in different water at different temperatures applies to us in this way. We are going to come in contact with different types of individuals with different temperaments. God wants us to be so soothing, to be so approachable, to be like Jesus. So when we confront individuals that are loud and boisterous and so against what Christ wants us to be, He wants us to be that preservative, that seasoning, so that they, leaving our presence, would vow within themselves that they want to change. Why? Because our flavor, our seasoning would have dabbled with their personality, their temperament. And they will recognize, because not because of us, but because of Christ through us, they'll recognize that they need to have they exude a difference. So for Christ to do that in us, He's calling us to have that one-on-one relationship with Him. And here's what Peter adds to that. Peter in 2 Peter chapter 1 tells us, if you're going to put on that divine nature, if you're going to truly be that salt, here's what will be happening. And we're looking at 2 Peter, chapter 1, and we're going to verse 5. And here Peter is admonishing us. And beside this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue. What is virtue? Goodness. Can we generate goodness of ourselves? No. That goodness comes from our relationship with Christ. As we allow Christ to continue to teach us, guide us, direct us, we would be like Christ. And then we are seeing growth. From that faith and virtue, we're adding knowledge. And with the knowledge, temperance. That's the knowledge of God. And God will give us the knowledge also to deal with our fellow men and even with ourselves. And to that, He's adding temperance. The ability to have a balance, to abstain from that which is bad and to gravitate towards that which is good. So there's a balance. And then there's an addition. So you're seeing the stepping stone for growth. Adding to that temperance would be patience. So when people rub us the wrong way, rather than just retaliate and misbehave, God is saying, You don't need to act like that. You need to avoid any occasion to misrepresent your faith. And that can only happen as we allow Jesus in, because He's going to teach us not to misrepresent Him by our manner of speech or even our very actions. Then He says, add to that brotherly kindness. And to brotherly kindness, charity or love. I'm here to tell us this morning that Christ truly can make us the salt that He would have called us to be. He can truly help us to be white or clothed in His righteousness, to be odorless. We don't have to be very obnoxious by the way we say things, by the way we do things, and we can be able to dissolve easily among others regardless of their differences to who we are as believers. So may God help you and I today to really allow Christ to make us that salt, white with our words, smooth, filled with grace, seasoned so that when we speak, our speech can savor for life eternal. Not obnoxious, but filled with the Spirit of God, exuding such love that others would recognize that they need